Welcome to the first ever live episode of Always Another Game podcast. And the reason we are live today is because I have a VIP with me. I have a very important person talking about a very important topic. I have Alice Hendy MBE with me here today. Alice, how's it going?
Hi, Shaun. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm not sure I'm a VIP, but I'll do my very best today.
The reason I kind of use the term VIP there is I'm going to get into it very shortly. Why we're talking today is a huge reason behind why I started this podcast. So it is very important that your message gets out today. But I got to hear you speak live at Becky and Kirsty's mental health and wellbeing event, and the way I described it, it was eye-opening. Obviously, it was their first event. How did you find speaking at it?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved how intimate it was. It was full of people that genuinely want to make a difference. And I think everybody just had a great time. They're two brilliant girls and they did a wonderful job. So I'm looking forward to the next one in Manchester.
Yeah. Oh, have they got a date already?
I believe so, yes. So the one that we went to obviously was the London one, and they're going to do the same again in Manchester because of the success of the London one. So yeah, really looking forward to it. I think it should be on their LinkedIn.
Oh, amazing. So anybody that is checking it out, let me know, because if you're unaware, it was a mental health and well-being event where they had speakers and networking, but it was all very, very important topics. And it was so eye-opening. To be honest, I didn't really know what I was going to get from the event. I was there as a supporter, but it was doing exactly what it needed to do, which was raise awareness and start the conversation, which I found fantastic. So before we dig in and learning a little bit more about you, the reason we are talking today is I have two concepts behind the podcast. The first one is to tell everybody that skills are transferable. If you are good in one area of your life, you can transfer that into another area that you may be challenged in or struggling. And that's where the topic of sports comes in, that sports can be related to parenting, business, self-development. But the second one, which I do speak about to any regulars that are listening, they will know, in ice hockey, we've lost too many good people. And I find a lot of that is they lose their way, they lose their purpose after they finish playing. And you were just saying before we came on, you see a lot of this in a lot of sport, and I'm sure it is the same. And the podcast wanted to let everybody know there is a life away from the game. There is stuff that you can do to evolve. And I just felt that this was a very, very important topic. But before we kind of really go into the details, I would love the audience to know, who is Alice Hendy?
I don't think I've ever been asked that question before, to be honest. So I actually find this one quite tricky. I'm 32. I live on the south coast in a small village where I grew up. My passion is football. I absolutely love football. I used to play at a fairly decent level, and since I got older and discovered food and drink and so on, I now tend to just watch it. I follow Portsmouth, but I also support West Ham because I moved to London a long time ago and lived very, very close to their stadium, and I used to have a season ticket by myself for years to watch them play. I've got two dogs. They're miniature schnauzers. So the breed that have got the eyebrows and the beards. Called them Ronnie and Reggie after East London's finest.
Yeah, I think we know.
Yeah, so they keep me very busy. My day job, so I've got a day job alongside Ripple, and that is working in cybersecurity. So I've been working in IT and cybersecurity now for over a decade. A bit of a geek with technology and everything that comes with it, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, no, I love that. Didn't Portsmouth do something good this year? They did. They have some sort of achievement.
Yeah,
I knew it was
promoted from League One this season, so they're up playing in the Championship next season, which is a real achievement actually for the club, because they've been through real issues over the last few years with owners and money and so on. The disappointing thing for Portsmouth fans, though, is Southampton have also got promoted, so they're back in the Premier League. So there won't be that derby game that they've been craving for years and years. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, they won't be playing each other next year.
Yeah, you just don't know, do you? I'm buzzing that Southampton are back in, because it's a midpoint from my parents and I. So we were able to catch some Premier League games occasionally when we could get hold of tickets. So I was rooting for them the other day.
Okay.
Now what we're here for, if I'm right in saying, is with Ripple, and I'm going to get you to tell us a little bit more about it in a second. Ultimately, we are talking about suicide prevention.
Yeah.
We are looking to help, and what you do, and even on your website, says literally it's saving lives. Now, on your website, there's 3 key stats that is eye-opening. Like, it's scary, it's raising awareness, but it's also it's stats. It's true, and I'm going to read them off exactly how they are. We've got 1.2 million. There are 1.2 million internet searches for ways to take your own life every month globally. 125%. The searches for suicide hotlines have increased by 125% since January 2019. And the #1 leading cause death for people in the UK aged 20 to 34 is suicide. And if I can add one on, which I've heard that you can confirm if it's true or not, isn't it the #1 cause of male death?
Yes, it is. Yeah, and 75% of suicides in this country are men.
Like, these are not small numbers. These are huge. You know, you've got millions. You've got over 100%. You've got first. Like, this is worrying, and that's why, you know, I guess this is something that you're you know, doing to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, those statistics that you've just mentioned, there's so many more that are just harrowing. Unfortunately, I think it just shows the issue that we have around mental health, around suicide, and how much more needs to change in order to get people to open up, to share about what's happening to them, whatever it is they're going through, and finally to get them the support that they need in order to get through whatever it is they're going through. It's very complex. Lots of people struggle with various different things for various different reasons. So it isn't a one size fits all approach. And therefore it does make things more complex and harder to manage. But we've got to do something, and conversations like this all help.
Yeah. What do you think is a lead cause, or there might be a couple of reasons why those numbers are so high?
COVID absolutely did not help. Lots of people felt isolated, lonely, uncertain about the future. But you've also got in the mix of that a cost of living crisis. For males in particular, you've got still, unfortunately, a perception that you should be a breadwinner, you should be earning the money, you should be macho, you should be strong, not show your emotions because it's a sign of weakness. There is still very much that stigma associated with mental health. And one of the things that we're trying to do at Ripple is to let particularly men know that if they are finding things difficult, and that could be from financial well-being to addictions to disorders, whatever it is, if they do have that courage and strength to open up and discuss and talk about how they're actually feeling, that should be considered a huge strength, and in no way is that seen as a weakness. But it's just trying to get that message out there and really hit the message home. We've still got a long way to go.
We do, because it's kind of finding a balance. We've got people like yourself looking to help people to show that it is okay to talk. It's actually strong to talk. And then there is a lot of, I suppose, male presence online that are still in the tough love, don't listen to what these other people at the other end of the spectrum are saying. And I guess it'd be very hard, like anything, even my industry, which is kind of like fitness and then health related. You've got one person saying one thing, one person saying the other thing, and then it just causes more confusion. So how do you feel somebody could break through the noise a little bit and make a good decision for themselves?
It's a case of getting that understanding yourself, really, that you need support and you need help, and that is okay for that to happen. Just speaking to somebody, and that could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a neighbor, it could be a stranger through one of the support services that exist. Whoever it is, if you take that courageous step and actually open up and talk about how you're doing, that can make in itself a huge difference. It's like a burden is coming off of you, off of your
Yeah.
shoulders, because you've shared it with somebody rather than bottling it up. But I think other people can have a part to play in this as well. There is still a bit of a stigma around the topic of suicide, and asking if somebody is experiencing suicidal thoughts. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't put the idea in their head. If you ask somebody directly if they are having suicidal thoughts, the chances are that that person you're speaking to probably feels quite relieved that you've asked them, and it gives them that space to open up and to talk to you. Other people also can have a bit of an impact here in terms of the language that they use as well. So really small changes that can make a really massive impact. An example would be the term committed suicide. Lots of people use that term. Before suicide touched my family, I would use that term to describe suicide, committed suicide. In actual fact, that would indicate that suicide is a crime. And suicide hasn't been a crime in this country since the 1960s. We don't say committed cancer or committed a stroke, and therefore we shouldn't say committed suicide. Instead, we should say things such as died by suicide or took their own life. So it's just minor changes like that in language that other people can use as well in order to make the person feel less stigmatized and more accepted and understood, really, because it's a real problem.
Yeah, I love reframes. I think we are in a world that is changing, and we have to lose some perceptions that we were brought up with, because we're in a different world now. And even just reframing our words that we use, it's powerful in all areas of our life. And I've had two male guests on this show that have spoken about their lowest points, and both of them, they finally reached that point that they said, I need help, and reached out to partners or family members. And that, like you said, it's a weight. They both said it was a weight off their shoulder. They
Yeah,
finally did it. They were brave enough to do it. Now they're both thriving in business and in life and in parenting. And just from that one simple moment of going, actually, you know what, I'm going to talk about this. And as you probably agree, it's so simple to do, really.
it is. But still, not to get away from the fact that it's hard. It's still hard for somebody to have that courage to do it. But I can promise you that if you do, and you do talk and open up, the difference it will make to you is unbelievable.
Yeah, I always use the term, even in my business, it's simple, but it's not easy, because if it was
Yeah,
easy, we would do it anyway.
exactly. Yeah, exactly that.
So the big question that I think this is kind of like the starting point of Ripple. How did Ripple come about?
So I guess before I start this particular story, I just wanted to say to people that what I'm about to say is quite tough to listen to. It's hard for me to speak about as well. And if anybody does need to take a break, look after themselves after this or during this conversation, then please do make sure that you are looking after your own well-being. Ripple really for me then came about because 25th of November 2020, 5:28 in the morning, two police officers came to our front door and sat us down, and they very bluntly told us that about 2 hours prior, they had found somebody that they believe has taken their own life, and they've identified that person as being my brother, Josh. Life stopped for me, really, at that point. It was almost, the way I describe it is almost like a bomb going off. Josh was 21 years old when he took his life. He was my only sibling, and he was my best mate. So it was just me and my parents from that point, and I felt really that I had a duty at that stage to step up, to be there for them, but also to organise everything that came with my brother's passing, dealing with the coroner and the investigation that comes from a suicide, dealing with the police investigations, organising a funeral in the midst of COVID, where you're limited with the number of guests, visitors, attendees at the funeral. And it was just horrific. I can't even begin to tell you how horrific it was. In the immediate aftermath of losing Josh, I became pretty obsessed with going through his devices, his technology, his phone, his laptop, his tablet. I wasn't sleeping anyway, so this was kind of keeping me occupied. I wanted to find answers. You know, what was so bad in his life that he believed ending it was his best route here. And when I did go on the internet onto Josh's devices, I found that he had been, probably for about 2 or 3 months prior to him ending his life, going online and searching for how he could do it. And it was there that he was given tips, he was given encouragement to take his life. He was even given pain scales for each method of suicide to help him make a decision as to what one to pick. And, you know, this isn't stuff that's available on the dark web. This is readily available stuff here. This is readily available content. And in my job in cybersecurity, I'm used to seeing horrible stuff on the internet, but I'd never really come across this kind of material before. So it just got me thinking, and I said to my parents, it was Christmas Day of 2020, so exactly a month after we'd lost Josh. Obviously, Christmas celebrations are out the window for us. We were just sat there in a daze. And I said to my parents, why is there nothing out there on technology that exists that if somebody was so low and that desperate that they're searching for this content, there's something there to intervene and direct them down a more hopeful path? And I think they were appeasing me a little bit, to be honest. They were just like, yeah, you know, something should be around. But I took that little hook and ran with it. And I created a piece of technology called Ripple that does exactly that. It interrupts and intercepts harmful searches and instead directs somebody to support services that they can access now and in the longer term.
Yeah, like first and foremost, it's, you know, thank you that you are, you know, strong enough to be able to share the story, because I know this isn't something you've just done for me. I saw it at the live event, and I'm sure you with what you're doing, you have to share the story because it is a big important part of it. And, you know, the bravery and courage to be able to do that, I can't even imagine. I don't, you know, I don't want to imagine being able to do that. So I do really, you know, do really appreciate that. How then, with this add-on, how does it actually work? Because it can go on kind of all devices. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Ripple is a piece of technology, and it can be downloaded in 2 different ways. So the first way it can be downloaded is as a browser extension. So that means it can be put onto your browser of choice that you use. Now that could be Google Chrome, it could be Safari, Edge, Firefox, Opera, whatever browser it is you use. And once deployed onto that browser, it means that if any search is conducted on the internet relating to the topic of self-harm or suicide, then the Ripple technology would intervene, interrupt that search with a short breathing exercise that's been statistically proven to help that person pause, stop, reflect on what they're doing. And then it provides them with very carefully selected mental health support services that they can access now and in the future to help them get through what it is they're going through. The second way that Ripple can be deployed is through Wi-Fi networks. So we can put Ripple on the Wi-Fi anywhere that's got the network. So that could be football clubs, and a number of them have got it on their stadiums. It could be coffee shops. It could be shopping centres. It could be airports. Anywhere that's got a Wi-Fi connection, we can put Ripple on there. And that means that if anybody is connected to that Wi-Fi network on any device that they're using, phone, tablet, laptop, whatever, if a harmful search is conducted around this topic, Ripple would again intervene and signpost them to support. So 2 key ways you can download it. What I will say also, Shaun, is it's free for everybody apart from businesses. So that means it's free for parents to download at home for their kids. It's free for schools. It's free for colleges. It's free for universities. It's free for charities and foundations. The only people we'd ever charge for this is corporates and businesses. And quite frankly, that's because they can afford it. And it's a very small amount that we ask for. And that helps me to keep my charity running, for us to do more. So, but for everybody else, it's completely free, and it always will be.
And it's a very small amount. How much is it per device for businesses?
Yeah, so we're talking pence. So it starts as little as 13 pence per computer. So we're really not talking, huge amounts here. And this for me should be on every single device. It should be safeguarding students. It should be safeguarding workforces and colleagues and employees. And it should be safeguarding our loved ones at home as well. So my mission is to get this on every device that I possibly can. And it's conversations like this that help me achieve that.
And that's one thing I found fascinating about your talk when you said, look, when people are feeling that low, they're not going to think twice about using a work computer. They are just going to search, so people sitting there will go, they're not going to look at this at work. What's the point?
Yeah, I get that all the time. I have lots of conversations with businesses, and a lot of them, to be fair, want to do something and want to support their colleagues. But I have had a few that have come to me and said, well, our colleagues won't search for this stuff on their work computers. I can tell you they do. Quite frankly, if somebody is suicidal and they're searching for how to end their life on the internet, the last thing that they're going to be thinking about is what device they're searching for it on. Because as far as they're concerned, they're not going to be here to experience the consequences of that. And our statistics and our data does show that people do search for this stuff while at work. It sounds a bit weird, but my goal is actually for every device to have Ripple, but for Ripple to never be seen, because that would indicate that you don't have anybody suicidal in your organization. The reality is very different. The reality is that you will have somebody that's suicidal, at least one person. You just don't know about it. And that's where Ripple comes in. It's that silent intervention designed to help somebody at that pivotal moment to get them the support that they need.
Yeah, and some people might be sitting here and go, well, I don't want to add something on my computer that I don't know about. How safe is it? How safe is the add-on?
Yeah, so it helps that I work in IT and cybersecurity for a living. So it's kind of watertight from that perspective, and I can speak the language of the IT teams, which always helps. We've got what's called pen test reports that prove the security of our technology. So that's where we've actually paid for organizations to attack our technology to see if they can corrupt it, get in, and they haven't been able to. We've got Cyber Essentials certification to show that we are a cyber secure organization, and we've been awarded that 3 years in a row. And we've got an IT team and data privacy officer that are on hand every step of the way. Any question that gets thrown at us from a cybersecurity perspective or a data privacy perspective, we've got an answer to. This is a very light touch piece of software that you can put on your device. It just sits quietly in the background. It doesn't interfere with anything else that you're doing on your system. It doesn't have any permissions to see anything else that you're doing, and it saves lives.
Yeah. Everybody loves social proof. So we talk about businesses, or well, why should we do it? Who are some of the people that have taken action to implement this to keep their employees and colleagues safe?
So we've got Manchester Airport that have deployed Ripple on their Wi-Fi. Football clubs such as West Ham and the FA have deployed Ripple. We've got insurers such as QBE, Lockton, Beazley that have all deployed Ripple as a huge insurance firms. PwC and KPMG, two of the big four, have deployed Ripple. I've even got a water park and a waste disposal unit that have both deployed Ripple. This really is for everybody. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, your staff are still your staff, and they still have mental health and they still have well-being, and this is for everybody.
Yeah, I think I actually missed on the live about the Wi-Fi. I knew about the downloads, but I didn't. I don't know if I missed the bit on the Wi-Fi, because I think that's fascinating. You know, I'm a parent now. You know, I wasn't searching stuff like this as a kid, but you know, I'm assuming parents didn't know half the stuff that you know maybe I was getting up to, and you don't want to. You know, your kids have got to live their life as well, but knowing that peace of mind that, you know, if there is something they're not telling you, I've tried to keep an open communication, you know, with my boys, that you know they won't be judged and they can talk to me, and it's working really well. But who knows how it will work moving forward. So you know, I feel like it's fantastic. One bit that I did find it really interesting, and one bit that I didn't know: Ripple isn't spelt with an I, is it? How, if somebody is searching it, how can they find that, and what is the reason that it's not an I?
So the amount of people, Shaun, that have come to me over the last 3 years and said, "Oh, you've spelt your name wrong," is unbelievable, really. So yeah, you're right. Ripple is not spelt with an I, it's spelt with a semicolon. So 2 reasons for that. The first reason is Ripple itself has been called Ripple because on average, every time somebody dies by suicide, 135 people are directly impacted.
Wow.
So it's not just, you know, immediate family and friends here. It's neighbours, it's the milkman, it's the postman, it's ex-school colleagues, teachers. And I really found that out actually with Josh. The amount of people that came out to talk to me after Josh's passing was unbelievable. So the ripple effect of that when it happens is enormous. The semicolon in the English language stands for, it's actually now risen as the international symbol of surviving suicide. So if you were to use it in a sentence, it would indicate that the sentence isn't over, there's more to come. And what we're saying in this context is your life isn't over. Keep going. There is more to come from you. Because however bad things get, there is always, always a better option than taking your own life.
If so, you know, people sitting here, you know, listening, tuning in, if they wanted to get this downloaded today, how do they go about that?
So go onto our website. It's ripplesuicideprevention.com. I'll put it in the comments on this broadcast as well, so that you can have a look at it. All the information you need is on there. We've got FAQs, we've got links on exactly how you can download it. I've even created very short 60-second videos which give you step-by-step instructions on how you can deploy it. And it really does take 60 seconds. Lots of people get quite scared when it comes to technology, thinking, oh, you know, I don't really know how to download it, I don't know what to do. It's so simple and it can save a life. I often joke on this point with my mother. So she's probably up there with the worst at technology I've ever seen. Despite me trying multiple times to improve her knowledge levels here, I've tested this on my mother and I asked her to download Ripple by following my video, and she did it. So if she can do it, there is hope for us all.
Yeah, there's so many out there that will not do it because they think it will hard. But there you go. There's your tagline there. If Alice's mum can do it, so can you.
My mum can do it, so can you.
Yeah, there we go. If somebody is sitting here right now that may have had or maybe going through suicidal thoughts, or knows somebody that may be struggling, what one piece of advice can you give them right now that, you know, could save their life?
Okay, firstly, I'd say that it's okay to feel like that, whether it's you or someone else. The second thing that I would say, and there's lots of things that I could say here, to be honest with you, but if I've only got one, it would be make sure that you're continuously checking in on somebody. Don't force them to see you, but just let them know that you're there. It can be a WhatsApp message, it can be a text message, just letting them know that you're thinking of them, and that you are an ear for them. Listening is so important. Try not to make it about you. Try and listen without judgment. Whatever they're going through is valid, and show them love. Show them love. And if it's you yourself that's struggling with your mental health, there are amazing resources that are available to help you. You can see and find a lot of them actually on our website, ripplesuicideprevention.com. There's a whole host of different ways that you can access support: phone, text, web chat, apps, however it is you want to do it. But please have the courage to reach out if you need to.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get that link in the comments here and any broadcast we do. What's next? What's next for Alice Hendy?
I'm looking to expand Ripple so that it incorporates other conditions that people might be finding difficult. So, for example, eating disorders, financial well-being, alcohol addictions. Ripple will work in the same way, but it would trigger if a harmful search is conducted relating to one of those conditions. So as an example, if I typed in, am I an alcoholic? Ripple would come up, but provide me with support services relating to alcohol addictions. The reason we're doing that, it's not because we want to become an organisation that is, specialising in these very complex conditions, but all of them directly link and unfortunately can lead to somebody experiencing suicidal thoughts. So if we can get them the support that they need before it gets to that stage, that can only be a good thing. So that's the plan, expanding our capabilities to help more people with more conditions.
Yeah, I love that. That is the prevention over the cause. I love the saying, can we stop pulling people out the river and start going downstream and see why they're falling in? And that's
Exactly. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah. What a way to end this episode. Alice, if anybody did want to find you specifically or just kind of learn more about Ripple, is it just the website or is there other areas that you have to share?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. Please do contact me on LinkedIn. Alternatively, I will put my email address in the chat, but it's alice@ripplesuicideprevention.com. And we will always get back to you if you've got a query, a question, or just want to have a chat.
Amazing. Thank you once again for coming on, sharing your story. I know it's not easy for you, but I know it's important. And I appreciate, again, the bravery, the courage to be able to continuously do that in pursuit of reaching the goal for Ripple. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Shaun. Really appreciate it.
And thank you for everybody that has joined us live, or even if you've tuned in later on. Please check out Ripple, please check out what they're doing. And most importantly, if you've taken anything away from today, either share the word, share their website, or share the episode. You just never know who it can help. Thank you, everybody. Final reminder that there is always another game, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you.